Hey nerds, The Pitt returns to HBO Max for season 2. I will reveal my top 10 moments and honorable mentions from the first episode starting now. Welcome back to the Nerd Social. I am Colin. Before we start, chapter times are below if you want to skip ahead, and remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, please check out our website, thenerdsocial.org, for more reviews and analysis from our contributors. So I watched season 1 at this time last year, and it fast became one of my favorite shows on television. And this is backed up by their 3 primetime Emmy wins for Outstanding Drama Series, Outstanding Lead Actor in a Drama Series for Noah Wyle, and Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Drama Series for Katherine LaNasa. Some viewers will remember the television show ER that ran for 15 seasons on NBC. The Pitt has a very similar feel and tone to that show, not only because it stars Noah Wyle, who was on ER, but the show's producers are Scott Gemmill, who's also the Pitt's creator, and John Wells also worked on ER. However, the premise of The Pitt is much different as it explores the happenings inside the Pittsburgh Trauma Center's emergency room during the course of one day. Season 2 of The Pitt will work the same way as it consists of 15 episodes. Spoiler-free logline of The Pitt is a realistic examination of the challenges facing healthcare workers in today's America as seen through the lens of the frontline heroes working in a modern-day hospital in Pittsburgh. Episode 1 is titled 7 a.m. and is written by R. Scott Gemmill and directed by John Wells. Main cast includes Noah Wyle as Dr. Michael Robby Robinavitch, who is the senior attending physician, Patrick Ball as Dr. Frank Langdon, who's a senior resident, Katherine LaNasa as Dina Evans, who's the charge nurse, Supriya Ganesh as Dr. Samira Mohan, Fiona Dorif as Dr. Cassie McKay, who is a single mother but also is a second-year resident, Taylor Dearden as Dr. Melissa Malking, who's a neurodivergent second-year resident, Isa Briones as Dr. Trinity Santos, Garen Howell as Dennis Whitaker, who's a fourth-year medical student, Shabana Aziz as Victoria Javadi, who is a third-year medical student, and Sapita Bawafi, who is Dr. Baran Al-Hashimi, who is the new attending physician. So that is the main cast that appears. There's also a lot of other cast members that you'll see during the course of The Pitt. In terms of rating, I'll give this first episode a 9 out of 10, which is a movie marathon. It does not feel like you spend an hour watching this show because it is very fast-paced, intense, and meaningful for what the doctors, nurses, and medical personnel do to save lives on a daily basis. You think, wow, did they do all this in one day and have to do it again the next day and the next day? It gives a lot of credence to the medical profession. It has been mentioned online and through media reports that a lot of the people that watched ER back in the day were inspired by Dr. John Carter, who was portrayed by Noah Wyle, and they went into the medical profession because of his portrayal of John Carter. You can definitely feel that there's some continuation of the John Carter character from ER, but it's very different because it is a more recent interpretation of an emergency room. So as I reveal my top 5 moments and honorable mentions, there are spoilers ahead for The Pitt season 2 episode 1. So be careful for that. Okay. So one of my honorable mentions has to be the continuing storyline of Victoria, who is still getting crap from her mother, who works at the same hospital. Her mother wants her to work at something more prestigious than the emergency room. So I get the sense that there's a lot of Asian tiger mothering happening. And also I think she's very young and she is very impressionable, but she wants to take her own path. She doesn't want to follow in her parents' footsteps because her father also works at the same hospital. So there's a lot of that tension that's happening between the young up-and-comer and the parents trying to make sure that she goes the safe route or the more prestigious route. And she's definitely fighting against that type of expectation from her parents. It's a storyline that continued on from season 1, but it's definitely worth watching as it plays out, and whether or not she's going to later on in the season change her mind about staying in the ER. My second honorable mention is Dr. Melissa King, also known as Mel. She's neurodivergent. Taylor Dearden plays it very well. She's actually one of my favorite characters from last year because she stood out, and she also had a huge crush on Dr. Langdon. Maybe this episode is a warm-up for a bigger storyline in future episodes for her. It was very interesting that they didn't really show her as much in this episode as I saw her in season 1. I am intrigued to see what happens with her during this season. So my number 5 moment from episode 1, one of the nurses mentioned that the prodigal son returns. So Dr. Frank Langdon comes back after having to do rehab and counseling for his drug addiction. He also had to apologize to one of his patients for taking his meds. So he definitely had that issue. He got help and he's back. But even Robby was very hesitant to try to get him into a more prominent role in the ER, starting him on triage at the beginning here just to get his feet wet. But it seems as though Langdon is very ready to get back to normal, but he senses that Robby's trying to demote him because of his drug addiction. So he doesn't really trust him just yet. And we'll see what happens as he tries to get back on his feet and moves further on during this day, whether or not he's going to get a bigger role in the later hours. Number 4 moment from episode 1 is the tension between Robby and Dr. Al-Hashimi, who is the new attending physician. Dr. Collins was the attending physician from season 1, and she left. They had a major storyline with her having had a miscarriage. It was very heartbreaking. Robby and her had a very strong romantic relationship. There were some reports as to why she was written off of the show. There was some controversy, but that controversy was disputed and debunked. It was just part of the storyline as to try to move Dr. Collins away from the show. So now there's a new attending physician, and so they're overseeing the younger physicians doing surgery on a patient, and they seem to be very much at odds. They have different leadership styles. She put out a patient passport, and she also was a go-getter in terms of coming in early to the shock of Robby at this point. The tension basically bears watching as the season goes on. There was a cooling off period when they were tending to the abandoned baby during the later part of episode 1. So we'll see how it all shakes out as we go along. Number 3 is Dr. Cassie McKay's reluctant patient who refuses an x-ray for his wrist. He brings about some of the issues within healthcare. He said he's already paying a lot for his deductible and he didn't want to get more tests. And that's something that's very relevant because you can definitely tell from a patient's perspective, you don't want any more tests because they just want to suck the money out of you. And I have had some personal experiences with that. My family members have had some personal experiences with that. But in this moment, it was definitely a good scene to show how Dr. McKay de-escalated a potentially volatile patient who may be suffering from broken wrists and also memory loss. It shows a very strong professionalism on her part with compassion. Even though her personal life is a mess right now, especially her romantic life, she made a very interesting joke about getting laid. So definitely personal life, not so hot, but shows a lot of professionalism during the time in which she's there. Even though back in season 1, she had her moments that it was almost to the brink of breaking down at times. Number 2 moment is Dr. Trinity Santos dealing with a patient who's potentially abused. She was a know-it-all in season 1. She dialed it back a little bit in this season so far. She did the right thing by taking her to the bathroom, doing all that is necessary before asking Robby for guidance. She's also very young and knows her stuff very well. And that's where kind of the ambition and also some of the arrogance comes in with her character. Maybe this season she'll have more humility. Who knows whether or not she'll have more humility or whether she steps up in a very critical situation. The fact of the matter that she had the maturity to confer with Robby about the potential abuse that happens and then go through all the steps shows some growth on her part. And then finally, number one is Nurse Evans. She's in charge. You know that she has everything in place. I commented to my wife as we were watching this episode is that you clearly see some of the rookies, and then you see the ones that are like the second or third year, or the one that are, I wouldn't want to say seasoned veterans, but they're veterans. They've been through some of the stuff that's going on. But Nurse Evans and Robby are the ones that are really in charge. You can definitely tell that Nurse Evans has a very air of stability and competence to her. She was breaking in a new nurse and making sure a smelly man gets a decontamination shower. It's all a day's work for her. She's seen it all. And I can understand why Katherine LaNasa won an Emmy for this, because she is just dynamite in this role. And this is a picture from season 1 because Dr. Collins is not there anymore. But there were some rumors as to whether or not Nurse Evans will come back to the season, but glad that she's back in this role. And hopefully you get to see a lot more of that type of stability in a very chaotic emergency room as we go along. And definitely there's going to be some things that come up because this is supposed to be the 4th of July. And so one of the characters mentioned there hasn't been any fingers that have been blown off yet, but don't jinx it. That might happen. You never know. And we'll see how this all plays out. There are 15 episodes, so this is going to be a weekly thing where I'll do reviews for each of these episodes as they come out. So that is my top 5 moments and honorable mentions of the Pitt Season 2, Episode 1. Tell us what your favorite moments were from this episode by commenting down below. Like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. And we will see you in the next video. All right. Take care, everybody.